Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Little Podcast, Big Conversations. I'm Ramneek. Boy, have we got an exciting one for you. We often talk about innovation in terms of the latest gadget, the fastest speed, the biggest disruption. But today we're talking about innovation from the lens of human dignity. Today we're going to talk to Dr Navjot Sawhney, who is the founder and CEO of the Washing Machine Project. And he talks a lot about his journey in this episode. Essentially, he walked away from a corporate career to solve the world's most invisible problem, and a problem that affects women and girls specifically, and actually stops them from being educated and also stops them from being economically independent. Nav has taken a piece of technology in our homes that we take for granted and used it as a vehicle for global equity. I'm so excited for this episode. This one's personal for me, and I hope you enjoy it. Welcome, Nav, to the show. We're really happy to have you on Little Podcast, Big Conversations.
Thank you so much. I've been waiting to come on here for a few months now.
You have.
Maybe a year, I think.
Yeah, you have. And we've been excited ever since, really. Yeah. So really happy to have you on the show.
Yeah.
Take us through your journey. So take us through your journey from leaving Dyson and, starting the Washing Machine Project and becoming the founder and CEO of this amazing social enterprise.
Yeah, big question. I'm glad that we have time.
Yeah.
But I think, to go before the time at Dyson, I was a normal kid. Very curious child. I was fascinated with how things worked. My father took me to air shows. He was an aerospace engineer. I would come home, take the toolbox out of the cupboard and break everything. Because I didn't know how to put stuff back together again. That used to make my mum really angry. Mm-hmm. And my father passed away when I was very young, tragic death, died overnight. And, it was a real shock to all of our family. So my mum was left raising me and my two older sisters. Studying engineering as I grew up at university was a kind of natural transition. And so the reason why I speak about this is because kind of these three themes of being curious and being an engineer was something that was embedded into me from a very young age. Seeing firsthand how hard my mum worked and how difficult it was for my sisters to navigate society always sat with me in terms of how we can empower women. And then the final interest of mine is displacement. Mm-hmm. So, my father and my mum's family all grew up at a time during partition of India. So, these stories and narratives have played out through their lives and their families' lives for decades now. And it's something that I'm really passionate about. So these three themes have followed me throughout my whole life. And, I was lucky to have just landed a job at Dyson straight out of college, out of university, and I thought I was going to be there for the rest of my life. You work in HR.
I do, yeah.
So I remember.
I also went to Queen Mary as well.
Is it? Yeah. So I used to I remember I was 7 away from the top, and as a graduate, I was counting every single rung of the ladder and how do I go up the ladder at Dyson. And it just goes to show how naive I was at the time and how I thought this was going to be the rest of my life. I just wanted to do this. And about 3.5 years in, I was frustrated. Every bit of good engineering that I was doing was just making a vacuum cleaner for a rich person. I have so much in my life, and these products weren't being made for me. And I thought, as an engineer, you can either help or hinder the planet, and I want to help. So I decided to quit my job. Coming from a South Asian family, that's quite a tough conversation to have with my mum, who, has put so much effort into bringing us up in the proper way. And but I was unhappy, and that's what I decided to do. I went to go volunteer for a year with Engineers Without Borders. And I was placed in an existing organization in India making cook stoves. And these cook stoves are for people who use wood to cook their food. So, it's unbelievable to say it, but in this day and age, 50% of the world still rely on wood to cook their food. And that's what I was doing for a year. And I didn't know that decision would have completely changed my life. But it did. And I arrived on an October's monsoon day in South India. It was hot and humid in the middle of the night. It was rainy and there was a storm and there was a blackout, and I felt like I made the biggest mistake of my life by quitting this job. And I kind of embedded myself in the community. I decided to learn the local language, which was Tamil, and I lived in the village. I didn't have to, but I wanted to. And, me applying myself in this way got me integrated in the community very quickly. On Monday, would have an idea. Tuesday, would prototype this cook stove. Wednesday, this cook stove would be back into the field. And by Thursday, this cook stove would have got feedback by an auntie trying to use it and telling us how rubbish the cook stove was, So, and by Friday, we'd have this new idea of a cook stove where, it would save hours and hours of time for ladies who had to collect this wood, smoke inhalation and things like that. So that was amazing, that experience. But what happened next was equally as life-changing, which was, I was in this village, in this street, and my next door neighbour was a lady called Divya. And she was a 30-something stay-at-home mum. We became best friends because my Tamil was rubbish. Her English was amazing. And she spent hours and hours a day on unpaid labour. She was always busy, and she wanted to work, but just didn't have the time. And I just saw her from the moment she woke up to the moment she slept. She'd just be doing work, whether it was foraging for wood, hand washing her family's clothes for up to 20 hours a week, or standing in line for water. And I said to Divya, I'll buy you an electric washing machine. And she said, I don't have a generator and I don't have running water, so your electric washing machine wouldn't mean anything for me. And so I promised her a washing machine. I said to her, one day I'll come back here and I'll bring you a washing machine. I'll make you one. And that was the promise. That was in 2017. Yeah. We're in 2026 now, so it's 9 years ago. So I didn't know that promise would change my life, change thousands of lives around me, and also hundreds of thousands of lives around the world. But it did, and the rest is history.
So tell us what happened then. So you went from having that amazing experience, life-changing, to then establishing the washing machine project, and tell us a bit more about that. Yeah,
and to be honest, everything I've said right now is not been linear, right? So, it's easy to paint a great story of this upward trajectory of things that have been figured out. But I'm sure your lives, things go up and things go down, and you're not really clear of the path ahead. And I never set out on this promise and this mission to impact 1 million lives by 2030, which is our current goal. It's always been what can we do next, and how can we help the next person, and how can we fund it, what people do we need, and what partners. So I'm still figuring it out.
Amazing.
Is what I'm saying. But yeah, what happened next was I came back home to the UK. I gathered around a few friends, equally as frustrated as I was a year ago in their jobs, and we started sketching what a washing machine could look like that doesn't require any power and little water, and it was around my mum's kitchen table that we came up with our first prototype. It was based on a salad spinner in the corner of the room on the shelf.
Wow.
And we took it off the shelf, and we took our socks off and started washing our socks in my mum's salad spinner.
Salad spinner, wow.
So that salad spinner is not being used for salad anymore. but it's still in the R&D office now in Bristol. But I also studied a master's at the time in humanitarianism, because I feel like, humanitarianism is my passion and engineering was my skill. I wanted to join the two up, and that degree really helped me. My friend on the course was a director at Care International in Iraq, and he said to me, "Why don't you come and try your machine in Iraq?" This is at the height of the Syrian war. There was loads of Yazidi refugees and Syrian refugees in Iraq, and he says, they need something like this. So I said yes, but at that point we had no machine, but we said yes anyway. So we spent 2 days, me and my friend Alex, creating this prototype. We bought parts off on the internet and hacked something up together and just took it to Iraq on Monday. Over the weekend we did it and took it to Iraq on Monday. We put our clothes in it, wrapped it in plastic, and we were landed in Erbil in northern Iraq at 4 a.m. and just tested with 80 families across 5 days. And, these are people that have lost everything. These are people like you and me who are normal people who had lives, and they just found themselves in such a hard place in their lives, and they have so much dignity and pride. And what was really interesting was, they wanted this, and that was the first moment and glimmer of hope for me that we were onto something. And then Oxfam saw that. We wrote a report, and then they funded the first 100 machines. And we've just built up more and more since then. We got our first partner, RS, and we got our second partner, Whirlpool, and our third partner, JNR, and just keep building. And now we've impacted over 100,000 people. I have an amazing team. We're in 15 countries. We patented the world's first flat pack washing machine. There's loads of news articles about what we do, but for me, it's about the people, who we impact. And we were lucky enough to go back to Divya's house, Divya's village in 2024, and it was a really emotional time.
Nav, the human engineering side of things. I've read a lot about you and heard from you before. And 50% of the world's population wash their clothes by hand, right? And you often talk about kind of obsessing over the problem, not the solution. Why do you think it's taken this long for someone to think about the problem and create the solution?
Because it's really hard. And, organizations are really obsessed with how to capture the kind of top 10% of society, and that's where they innovate, Even to this day, we're creating super cool apps and super cool cars, and, we're optimizing for people that have everything they want, and we're just kind of squeezing them for all they've got, But there's large amounts of people in the world that don't have anything or are waiting for innovation. So that's one thing. Secondly, over the next 2 or 3 decades, we can't go on how we've gone for the last 30 years. We cannot have another 2 billion cars on the road. We can't have another 2 billion fridges, 2 billion washing machines. So there needs to be some innovation, and I think just kind of lack of empathy.
Really,
I think in general, it's the out of sight, out of mind. I can't see it, therefore it's not a problem. And so you probably have seen some of our stuff online, where a lot of our work is just kind of cutting through the noise and just creating scroll-stopping videos that just highlight people about the problem. And that's the first challenge. If you see it, you can't unsee it. And so for us, it's making sure people see it, they care about the problem, and then together we can come up with the solution.
That's incredible. And how much would you say being in those communities amongst the people that you were solving these problems for actually helped you create the solution, as opposed to you could have stayed in the UK and designed that. You know, how much do you think that impacted really designing a solution that worked for the users?
Yeah, I mean, the washing machine project was founded on a promise, so it's always been embedded in the DNA of the organization. I mean, it's in the logo, right? The heart, Divya's in the middle of what we do. And this is from darkness coming into light. So we always design with the user in mind. Our values, if you guys work in HR or Ramnik, you still do. Our values are we start with people first, not just the people that we work with, but with the people that we serve. And whenever we design a new product or a new feature, we go through hundreds of user-based research, and that's costly and time-consuming, but it's worth it because the adoption increases and people feel a part of that mission.
Wow. And tell us, so you've got the first flat pack washing machine.
Yeah.
Tell us a bit about that. So, for some of our listeners may not have yet been onto your website or social media and seen it. And if they haven't, they definitely should because it's incredible. But tell us a bit more about that. So, flat pack washing machine.
Yeah, I mean, if you've ever made any flat pack furniture in your life, it's pretty similar. You can put it together with 2 tools within an hour. But our design philosophy, when we were first creating this new version of the Divya washing machine, it's called the Divya washing machine after the inspiration, was if something breaks, how can they fix it locally by themselves without any support? So for me, if my electric washing machine breaks at home, I will call someone and then they can come and fix it. But that's very difficult in places where, access is really restricted. So one thing that I found is that people are very frugal and very innovative when something breaks. They will find a way to fix it. Whereas, I have a mentality of just throwing stuff. And when we were designing it, we're just having that kind of ethos in mind. And we wanted every part to be serviceable. So your phone, it's very hard for that to be taken apart and put back together again. And that's because manufacturers want you to replace that. Within 2 or 3 years, whereas our machine has been tested for 18 years so far with no faults. So
wow,
that's the plan.
So I've actually seen the Divya washing machine. It's absolutely amazing. I haven't built one yet, but I will. That's my next task. One day. I will do that this year. I promise. And I'll try and do it within an hour. Yeah. I wanted to go back, Nav, to your story. And there were a couple of moments that you talked about specifically when you chose to walk away from your career at Dyson.
Twice, yeah.
Twice.
I'll tell you another story of when I walked away from JLR.
From JLR, right,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, do you want to tell that now, that story?
You can carry on with your question.
That moment, and then the other moment that I noted as well when you were talking was in India just before you met Divya and the whole monsoon and you just had a moment of like, what am I doing?
Doubt.
Doubt. I would really love to understand kind of what was going through your head. How did you process that? Because we will often be in situations where we're absolutely terrified, right? How did you think that through and stay true to your mission at the same time?
Yeah, and I'm feeling that right now. Even after all this perceived success, I still am very scared of the future in a way that is different to what I was scared of in the past. And I think it's about what matters the most. When I have doubt now, I just look back at all the kind of things that we've achieved and all the people that are trying to help us along the mission, and that makes me feel better. But at that time, I felt truly lonely, No one was supporting me on the journey. My mum hated my decision. My friends missed me. And I gave up everything, and I don't know. I think I'm just very stubborn, probably. Maybe people might say that's resilience. I think just taking every day as it came at that point, rather than looking too far in the future. That's when times are really, really difficult. So how can I just get through this day? And how can I make the best of this day? Maybe that's because my father died when I was very young, and even to this day, my family, every day, we call each other, my sisters and my mum, and we tell each other how much we love each other, and we never go angry. Even if we've had big fights, we've always made up before we sleep, because we just don't know when our time is up. And maybe it's these kind of early traumatic events in my life that have led me to kind of this, just taking every day as it comes. So that's how I got through those days, but also connection and people. And, when you have a problem, I always try and share it with someone who, 9 times out of 10 will have the same problem. We all have things going on in our lives that people know of, and, people love connection.
Yeah.
So I think that's what happened in those early days in Kulapalem, in the village in India. And then quitting my job not once but twice was really tough. The first time I begged for my job back. So at the time I emailed the CEO, Jim Rowan of Dyson, and I said, listen, I know you guys don't have a sabbatical, but I really want to do this, and I really want to come back to Dyson. And he didn't reply. And the HR director replied and said, no, it's not possible.
Yeah.
And I was so heartbroken. But I did it anyway, and it's probably the best decision I ever made, because I wouldn't be here today sitting on this chair talking to you guys. So, and Jim is a friend now. He's a massive supporter of the washing machine project, and he went on to become the CEO of Volvo, and he's doing really cool things now. So, and I had to do that again. I came back from India to the UK. I started the washing machine project. I went to university, and I also joined Jaguar Land Rover. But I had the opposite experience at Jaguar Land Rover. Jaguar Land Rover was amazing. They were so supportive. The CEO was incredible. He was one of my mentors, and I felt like it was an incubator for the washing machine project. My line manager at the time just kind of turned his head anytime I needed to work on the washing machine project, and that was great. And to this day, they're still massive supporters. And I remember at the time I was working 70-hour weeks. I was employing 6 people at the washing machine project, and I was still working at Jaguar Land Rover.
Oh my God.
And Adrian, the CEO of JLR, was a great mentor of mine. And I said to him, Adrian, I'm going to have to leave JLR. And he said, no one person has 2 missions. You have 1 mission. And we will be there for you on that mission. But go and pursue your mission. So that's what we're doing.
That's wonderful.
But it was very tough.
Yeah.
It was very tough.
Yeah.
I had nightmares for weeks afterwards about making that making a mistake. But it just wasn't possible to do 2 jobs.
Do you think that those moments have made you really resilient, because you do a lot of travelling, right? Following you on social media, you often talk about the loneliness of being a founder and CEO. But it sounds like those early years with your dad's passing, those moments have potentially made you more resilient and stronger, perhaps. I mean, I'm sure it's still hard, but it sounds like those early years have really shaped who you are. Has that helped?
Yeah, I get that resilience from my mum. She's an incredible woman. This lady, she had 3 degrees, and she had no reason to come to the UK apart from this arranged marriage, to marry this guy. She gave up her fledgling, illustrious career in Mumbai, and she came to the UK with £5 in her pocket, and she took a low-level job at a timbers merchant. She didn't need to do that, and then at every stage, she worked for the government, and then she retired a few years ago after 35 years of service in the government. And I just think, why did my mom make this decision, And, it's unfortunate the cards were dealt for her where, her husband died when we were all very young, and, she persevered, and she gave up promotions to be with her kids, and she sacrificed so much to be with us, to make sure that we're the people we are today, and I'll be forever in debt to that. And to this day, even with grandchildren around us, we rely on her. What a matriarch in the family. And if you've ever had a conversation with her, you get why we are the way we are because of her. So yeah, if there's anything about resilience, it's my mum, who, has 7 siblings and paid for everyone's education. She did that from the age of 12. So yeah, amazing lady, and I've got a lot to learn from her, even over the next decade while I have some time with her. Yeah,
It's incredible. And it's very clear how you're obviously very close and in awe and inspiration with your mum and your sisters. But tell us how that has then influenced how you're, with the washing machine project, then empowering women and girls who often in communities where there isn't the facilities are often doing the washing, aren't they? And things like that. So tell us more about that.
Yeah, for me, it's just so unfair. It's like, it's a no-brainer, and it's changing, but it's not changing fast enough, and I just don't understand it, Don't understand why, this role is in place, and why it happens. And I've seen it firsthand with my mum and my sisters, and and how difficult and how hard it is for them to navigate life, and what stereotypes are placed on them. And for me, that's that's in a situation where they're in a affluent neighborhood, and they've got jobs, they've got money. But when you go to countries where it's a developing or humanitarian context, it's even worse. And when you go to displacement context and refugees, it's even worse. And whatever we can do to change that narrative and provide the tools, I'm here for that. And there's simple solutions that we can make and create.
Yeah, I mean, Nav, that really resonates. I mean, you might know I'm 1 out of 5 girls, and in our culture, there's so many things, isn't it, that is unfair, right? It is a patriarchal, culture that we have to navigate. In terms of you've conducted so many interviews, right, in like 15 different countries.
Yeah.
What's the one thing that you've really learnt from the communities that you never thought about before?
Yeah, and it's interesting that you're 1 of 5 girls. My mum is 1 of 5 girls as well. So
Is she?
I have 5 mussies.
Oh, have you?
Yeah, which is called auntie and mum's side in Punjabi.
Yeah.
So yeah, my mussies are amazing. They're equally as
Well, all my cousins are women as well, so
Yeah.
we've got a lot of women in our family.
yeah, exactly.
No brothers.
Yeah, so good for that.
Good. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, for me on a personal level, it's our stories in our own mind, and the media narrative is that these places are dangerous, these people are in need, and they're they need free things, and we should sympathize with them. But my observations are they don't need sympathy, they need empathy, they don't need free things, they need opportunity. And when I went to Iraq and Lebanon and Jordan and Syria in the first early years, I was surprised at how normal things were. How people wanted to just get on with life, how people wanted to get a haircut, or play games or play football, and watch the Premier League, like these are normal things that they want to do. And, we see in the news today is completely opposite of that narrative. It's the othering. And actually this connectedness is really important. So that's one story. Second story is of a lady called Kausek in Lebanon. And I met her in 2019. And she was a lady that had 12 people in her family. She had 10 kids, and she had been displaced in the Syrian war. She had been in this camp for 3 years, and she was living in this tent, and there was this bush outside her tent. And I asked my translator, why is this bush in the randomly outside her tent? in this middle of this desert in sand. And the translator asked Kausek, and she said, I had a really lovely garden in my house in Syria, and I loved looking after my garden. And this bush reminds me of my house, and one day I hope to go back there, and I look after this bush to remind me of my house, which, she may never go back to her house, and her house probably doesn't exist anymore. And that's what that taught me. But yeah, I mean, from the washing machine project point of view, we found out loads of information. We found out like how people wash clothes, what detergent they use, where do they wash clothes, how much time, how much effort, do they feel pain, do they want to change? If there was a change, what would they do with that change? These types of things.
What's next for the washing machine project then? So you've developed the Divya washing machine. Do you need to scale? Is that one of the priorities, or?
Yeah, I feel like right now we're in a swamp.
Okay.
It's there's this technical. Well, it's not a technical term. It's a term known when you're starting your own organization, when you're in this kind of phase of between startup and scale up, where you're just kind of like trying to get through the messiness of starting up and scaling up, and I feel like that's where we are right now, and it's just trying to get through this period of uncertainty. Administrations and governments are cutting back their foreign aid. There's conflicts and regional wars happening that are disrupting supply chains. Sympathy for development and humanitarian is going down at a time where corporates are cutting their budgets. So we have to navigate in this time, and so does everyone else. So how do we get through this is the deep question. But there's a lot of growth at the washing machine project, and I'm really excited. We've got a lot of support, and our big ambitious aim is 1 million people by 2030. Some of my mentors say that's not ambitious enough. They say they want to get to 1 billion people, but I'll be happy with 1 million, but one step at a time.
Brilliant.
That's incredible, because the washing machine is a project is a charity, isn't it?
Yeah, so we have the TWP Foundation, which is the charitable arm, and then we have the not-for-profit, which is the washing machine project.
Yeah. So how do you balance all of that with all of the different economic pressures and societal pressures that you just mentioned? How do you balance that as well as growing it, and almost like the balance between the non-profit and the charity? Because the scale of that must be challenging with all of those headwinds in terms of the challenges.
Yeah, I mean, the washing machine project started as a volunteer organisation, and we started with a lot of goodwill, and we still have that goodwill from people that see us for the first time this week, or people that have been following us for the last 7 years. And it always surprises me and astounds me of the sheer generosity and goodwill from people. And I think as long as we have that, we'll keep growing. I know, like, for example, Ramnik, you saw our stuff online. We met each other in person, and those relationships have borne fruit in other ways. So yeah, we really appreciate the support, and that's why I love speaking to people like you, because you just don't know who's going to listen or watch, and who does it click with, and then what does that mean for the future? I think it's like the butterfly effect, where you just don't know how it impacts you later on down the line.
Yeah, that advocacy is really important when it comes to these things, isn't it? I'm just going to pivot slightly, if you don't mind. Pivot away.
Go for it.
A few of the posts that you've done over the last couple of years have talked about kind of your identity, the fact that you're a bug, which is a Sikh turban, and being visibly different and travelling the world. How was that a barrier or a hindrance, if it was, or how did it help actually in some of those connections that you talk about?
Yeah, I mean, I travel a lot. So last year I went to 27 countries. This year we're in April now, and I've probably been to 8 already. So there's still lots more traveling to do this year. I look different. There's no there's no getting away from it. And when I was a kid, I was so embarrassed of the way I looked. I wanted to blend in, just wanted to like cut all my hair off and just trying to simulate. But now I feel like it's my superpower. It's what sets me apart. And I champion it with pride, and that's why I spend a lot of time, if I can, trying to inspire the next generation of people that look like me to also be as proud as I am now, and maybe they're not the same. And I want to do that, but it's hard. Everyone's on their own journey, and it doesn't have to be people of colour. It might be something else. So I think there's lessons to take from each other.
Anyone that stands out, right? And
looks different.
Just looks different. Yeah.
So I have fun at airport securities now. When people check, I get that added security, or microaggressions and stuff like that. It's really funny. Obviously, it's frustrating as well when we're in a rush, but everyone's trying to do their job.
Yeah.
I was with someone, a colleague, earlier this week, and she's really positive, and I'm really positive as well, and we're just discussing of why we're so positive, and we always find like it's the best way to disarm grumpy people,
Yeah.
And it's almost, whether it's now or later, something comes around and something comes to fruition whilst being positive. So
yeah,
maybe it's something that I've just been born with.
Kill them with kindness.
Yeah.
It's always the best strategy.
There's definitely something in that, isn't there? I think in terms of like positivity and kindness, and actually the superpower in that, and how that can often then overweigh any negativity sometimes as well.
Yeah, I think so. And when you travel, you learn so much from people, and just have this instinct of when people are suffering. I think, I don't know, in any way, shape or form.
How do you maintain a level of mental health? And I say that with a lot of respect, because you're going through a number of countries, as you say, working with communities who've had really, really hard lives, right?
Yeah.
You talked about some of the refugees you've worked with, and and that lady, who's making her own kind of garden, right? Because it reminds her, and it gives her hope, right? Mainly, it gives her hope.
Yeah.
When you work with these communities, I mean, I've cried a number of times watching the washing machine project videos.
Really?
I mean, they're so emotional, Nav. Just the impact that it has on women and girls. You can see it really means a lot to those communities, and it has this ripple effect, right, in the communities. How do you kind of decompress, I suppose, from that, and maintain a level of health mentally, if that makes sense?
Yeah, badly.
Okay.
So, I mean, this week alone, I'm working incredibly hard, and 2 a.m., 3 a.m., putting in the hours, and then waking up early. And, but for me, it's whatever it takes, but it's not sustainable. It needs to change. And I meditate every day, journal every morning. I go out for walks all the time. I exercise, and the only issue is I love cheese. I can eat cheese all the time. That's my biggest vice. So
it's your biggest weakness.
This is my favorite food. So, yeah, I mean, I can do a lot better, and it's an ongoing thing. I think there's great times and there's bad times, and I try and stay grounded. My family are really good for that. And looking forward to getting married and settling down very soon.
Are you engaged?
Yeah.
Oh, congratulations.
This year. My fiancée is amazing.
Where did you meet her?
She's got an even better story than I have. She's much cooler than I am.
She'll have to come on the podcast.
Yeah,
as well.
we'll have to get her on.
Yeah, so she's in the UN and she works for UNICEF.
Wow.
She's currently in Gaza right now. So
Wow.
That's
so
amazing.
these people around me keep me really grounded. They don't care
Yeah.
about the washing machine project.
Yeah.
They just care about me being happy.
Yeah.
You know, and at times, my mum, who's pushed me so far in life, she's like, Nav, like when you're a kid, I wanted you to work hard and get your stuff straight, but you don't need to do that anymore. Please, relax a bit.
Yeah.
Based on that, do you ever, I guess, get mission fatigue? You've very clearly got your mission and you're driving that, and then equally sharing that your fiance is doing an incredible mission as well.
Yeah.
Like, do you ever get that mission fatigue? And I guess the other question I'd ask is then, do you ever feel like you're almost living in a parallel life to then other people who are in corporate jobs how does that feel?
There's a few things there. I mean, like, I feel so much weight and burden on my team, who are also working as hard as I am, probably more, and I feel that pressure because I want to give them more and I can't, in a time where it's so restricted, everything is tough. But what gets us through is that mission, that every day we're improving and changing lives, completely transforming lives. Someone that received our machine a few months ago is now tripling her income and sending her kids to school for the first time ever in their life.
It's amazing.
How can you think anything otherwise apart from that being amazing? But we need to do this in a sustainable way. It's a marathon, not a sprint, and I encourage all my team to just have that perspective. And sometimes we're a bit too passionate about what we're doing. And then your second question was about parallel universe and people who work in highly capitalistic corporate jobs, and everyone has to do that. I have great friends that are on incredible salaries doing really superficial work, and I remember when I was coming back from India, I was so angry with people. I was walking down Oxford Street and I was like, oh my God, everyone's such a consumerist, and I remember sitting down on the floor whilst eating with my hands and doing stuff that I wouldn't do when I was in the country before. And my mum said something interesting. She said, Nav, no one has changed apart from you. Only you have changed, and if you want other people to change around you, you have to inspire them to change. And I guess that's what I'm doing.
Your mum sounds amazing, by the way. I'd love to meet her.
Yeah.
Well, we should get her on the podcast, I think.
Have the whole
Get the whole family on the podcast.
That's from IKEA.
Yeah. What would you say to your younger self? I'm thinking about all those people that are listening to this and are sitting in potentially a corporate job or doing something that doesn't align to their values or where they feel they should be.
Yeah.
What would you say?
I would say fall in love with the problem, because the solution always changes. And, my lifestyle is my individual choice, and you all have your own individual choices, whether that's to continue the way you are and helping people around you in the way that you can, whether that's your own family, the society that you have closer to home, although that's something that I've done, which is a bit more extravagant, but everyone has the responsibility to help someone in one way, shape or form. And I think COVID taught us that we are mortal, life is short, people want purpose, and that's why people are trying to find that purpose, right? And even this podcast started during COVID, right?
Yeah, it did. Yeah.
Because you wanted to spread that, whatever that message is that you wanted to spread. So, yeah, I think people are searching for that purpose, and some people find it when they're in their grad job. Some people find it when they're retired. or somewhere in between.
Yeah. I mean, this podcast is all about self-improvement and, sharing these inspirational stories with our listeners. So it sparks, that change in them. How would you summarize kind of where you're at now? You're probably working on a number of things yourself personally.
Yeah.
So, where are you at as a person, and, what are you developing in terms of your skills going forward?
I think professionally I've been learning a lot about how to let go of things. I take things very personally, I'm the founder of the organization, and I'm not just the founder, I'm the face of the organization. So every decision feels like a personal decision, when actually there's incredible people who are way more capable than I am, who are giving so much time and effort and love to the organization, and I just need to get out of their way a bit. So that's something that I'm learning, and I'm excited to develop that a bit more. And, every year that the organization goes through, I have to develop, I have to evolve and, rise to that challenge. And there's been many conversations where, I don't feel like I'm the right person for the role at the time, and whether there's someone else that can do a better role than I do. And I'm always welcome and open to that feedback, and trying to receive as much feedback as possible on that from a professional standpoint. But personally, I just want to find a balance. I want to settle down. I want to get married and have kids and have an amazing family, and do that in a way that's sustainable for my family. It's not going to be conventional, as my mum has told me many times.
Yeah.
She's like, Nav, you've never chosen the easy path, but that would be boring, I think.
Yeah. You talked about kind of, watching people on Oxford Street and getting angry at one point. And I know your mum told you, how to think about things differently. What do you think us ordinary folk are missing missing? What would you encourage us to kind of think about more?
I worry that this is coming across as like holier than thou, and it's not holier than thou. I have so many faults and problems in my life, and everyone is going through things, but I just encourage people to be more empathetic, just be kinder and think about people like Divya and Kausik and the others that need your support in one way, shape or form. But it doesn't have to be Divya and Kausik. I walked past 5 homeless people today on the way here. How can we support them? Yeah. Everyone needs support.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd just like to close and just say a huge congratulations for everything you've already achieved, and all of your team, because I appreciate it's a whole team that support you.
Only scratching the surface.
Yeah.
100,000 people.
It's so exciting. I think we're both in awe of everything you've achieved, and also so inspired about what you will go on to achieve. So amazing. And we would encourage all of our listeners to follow everything you're doing online and support the Washing Machine Project and check it out, because it's incredible. We've both been really inspired by your story. But congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Good luck for the
congrats
future.
on this. The first season in video.
Yeah.
You can see it as well as listen to it.
Yeah.
How do people get involved in the Washing Machine Project? What if they want to kind of help you, help the project, help the team? Where do they find out more information? What can they do?
Well, there's 3 things. So go online and donate. You can do that right now. thewashingmachineproject.org. If you work somewhere that wants to partner at with the Washing Machine Project, please do. And tell someone about the problem.
Cool.
Those are the 3 things.
Amazing.
Brilliant.
Thank you. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you on the show. Honestly, your journey has been absolutely amazing, and the Washing Machine Project is so inspiring. It really is, and I look forward to continuing to follow the journey and support in any way I can.
Thank you. We're only on chapter 1. So
there's
another 10 to go. So.
Incredible.
Brilliant.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks.
Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thank you.